play a good Fresno State team this week. Another great opportunity to get better. You know, they're 1-2, but their 2 losses are two really good teams. Oregon State, which was a tight game, and then USC. And when they played USC, the score didn't really look like the game did on tape. So we have our work cut out for us. It'll be nice to be back at home. We are going to be honoring those in our organization that have fought the battle against cancer, and we're going to do that with. I actually meant to bring the helmet in. If you, Phil, I don't know if you want to run out to the equipment room and grab the helmet. I can show you what we're going to do. Kind of modeled after the NFL's crucial catch, and so before the game, those that are battling or have won the fight against the particular cancer that they've suffered from will be honored, and our players will wear a decal on their helmet, which I'll show you here in a minute, symbolizing the type of cancer that their family's been affected by. And some of them will have multiple stickers on their helmet. So this is a month when that's typically done. It used to be Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Now it's more Crucial Catch, and to expand it out, in particular for me, it's breast cancer, which my grandma perished from, and my mom has beat 3 times now, and pancreatic cancer, which my wife's father died from, and her sister-in-law is battling right now. So, but all of our players have been touched in some way or another. All of our members of our staff have been touched in one way or another. So we just try to bring awareness to it. So I think it should be a great day, and I think our guys are excited to play again. You know, I keep waiting for that practice when I walk out there, and they're not excited about practice, and it hasn't happened yet. And you know, we're down in numbers, but they're continuing to try to be their best every day. It's great. It's a fun group to coach. So,
questions?
As you bring guys on who are replacing the injured guys, have you found that the work they put in is really paying off? They're ready? Because those guys, when they started the season, weren't sure what their plan was going to be.
Yeah, I think so. You know, there's still always a ramp up because they're getting more repetitions, and it's probably a little more pressure, you know, put on them. But I think pressure is a good thing. I think it helps them focus and improve quickly. You said bring guys on. I almost laughed because I was thinking if there was a waiver wire right now, like the NFL, we'd really be hitting it hard. But we don't have a waiver wire. So, you know, it's interesting at running back. We look at our roster and it's like, okay, who on our roster, no matter what position, has played running back or could play running back? It's got to the point where Jelani Stafford, who was a pretty darn good running back in high school, we gave him a little consideration there. You know, now we're probably not going to put him there at 6 foot, 6'1". He's going to say 6'1", but 6 foot, you know, 309. But he's done it. So we're searching high and low for guys. You know, the receiver room's gotten light all of a sudden. Lee Millette, you know, is a guy in high school that played some receiver. So we put him down on scout team a little bit. He'll play corner for a series and then turn around and play receiver against our defense for a series. So we're just trying to find guys.
Speaking of receiver, is Matt Drayton still on?
He is. He's not yet back with the team. I'm not exactly sure what the status is there, and when I know, I'll let you know. So this is what we're going to do this week for the helmets. We're going to wear, so the ribbon color, so this would be someone that's been affected by his family by 2 types. We still have the husky head, but the ribbon, and I think that's a pretty cool thing if you guys want to take a picture of it. I can show it to you both ways, actually, if you want. You want to yeah, they can. Yeah, it's just kind of cool. So just think it's important to recognize those that have fought the battle. And like I said, most of our team has. But back to Matt, hoping to get some clarity on that soon.
Coach, getting creative, you know, trying to find guys to fill those positions. Is that kind of a little fun for you?
A little bit. It's a little fun, and then it's a little daunting at the same time. You know, I think if you don't have a sense of humor about it, you know, it's just going to drive you crazy. And you know, Jordan Morrison, for instance. You know, Jordan Morrison's a backup linebacker, plays special teams, has seen a few snaps on offense, but I've been told he's a pretty darn good receiver and maybe a running back. You know, so today on we call it scout team or service team, so he's, you know, playing the role of the Fresno State offense. He played a little receiver, a little running back, and you go, dang, okay, he's got a little stuff to him. You know, that's kind of how Cam Edwards ended up playing more running back. So, but sometimes it's, you know, what is that saying? Robbing Peter to pay Paul. You know, we don't have a lot of depth at most of our positions right now. You know, we're a little bit decimated. So guys are doing dual roles, and what's great is they're excited about doing it. I think it makes it kind of fun for them, too. It takes them back to their old high school days where they played both ways.
You got like 7 game stuff. You concerned at certain positions you're gonna, I don't know, run out of guys?
Yeah, I am. To be honest with you, yeah, I am concerned. I'm concerned at running back, mostly running back, you know, because we're really, you know, we got Victor and Devontae, who's fighting that shoulder injury. I mean, you know, he wears the red jersey out there at practice. He's, you know, the guy we don't touch, but he freaking sucks it up. He's so tough. He's a 163-pounder and tough as nails, you know, but he's hurting. But he's, you know, he goes through practice without getting hit, and then he goes out on Saturdays and plays. So, you know, I'm worried about that. And, you know, Burnsy's doing a lot of things for us, and he's very valuable. And then, you know, the guy after that is a guy that spent almost all his time here playing defense and still has a lot to learn to play offense. So, yeah, I'm worried about that position. But it doesn't do me any good to worry. It is what it is, and we just got to keep trying to find guys. And, you know, that's what we're doing. So that's what we're doing.
It'll change week to week, but as you go forward in the season defensively, are you getting more settled with what you want to do with the guys that are here?
Yeah, I am, and we are. I might have said this Sunday, and it probably sounds insane to most people that would hear this when you give up 41 points. But in general, we played closer to our potential and closer to what we want to be than we have all year, including the Central Connecticut State game where we didn't allow a touchdown. But we played closer to what we're capable of, and we played closer to what we want to look like than we have. And I know that just can sound idiotic for me to stand up here and say that after giving up 41 points, but that's what the film showed. That's not what the score showed.
Were they playing with more game speed?
More speed, more certainty. You know, we were there to make a couple plays and didn't make them. Missed a couple tackles. It gave up a lot of yards and some plays, but I felt like the players had a much better understanding of what was expected of them on each snap and each defense. And that's a good feeling. And I saw it again in practice today, these steps being taken, moving in the right direction.
Can you give the same appraisal on offense? I mean, where you guys are, because it looks like you're a ways away still. Right?
Yeah, it's harder on offense for us right now. You know, and I mentioned this after the game as well Sunday, is when you lose your starting quarterback and your 2 top receivers and your 2 top running backs, that's hard to replace. You know, it just is. We haven't had that on defense, you know, and so there's been more consistency on defense. And you know, every week it's almost a new proposition for Nick on how he plays and who he plays and, you know, what we're trying to play based on personnel. I will say this about our offense, though. You know, the last 3 games, we've played defenses that I believe will end up in the top 20 in the nation, you know, and we're playing another good one this week. But, you know, as ugly as it's looked at times, I always believe there's growth in those moments, you know. So I don't know that anyone else would ever agree with me, but that's how I kind of look at the world. So we've played 3 damn good defenses, and we've really struggled, but we fought through it, and I don't see Zion blinking at all, you know. I don't see any of our players blinking. They'll just keep fighting, and we'll have a breakthrough. You know, we'll have a breakthrough.
How does the fact that Fresno State's starting quarterback is out for the game, how does that change your preparation for this game?
It really doesn't. You know, you typically prepare for a scheme rather than a player, unless there's a particular receiver maybe that you have to key on in coverage, or a back that's just spectacular that you really have to crowd the line of scrimmage with. But you're usually preparing for a scheme. Now, the way you rush the passer, or their particular characteristics in terms of getting out of the pocket and run, or what throws they like to make, or how quickly they become a runner as opposed to staying a passer. That changes your thought process a little bit in how you're rushing the quarterback. But in terms of schematically, it doesn't change a lot for us. We just have to, regardless of who we're playing, we have to go out and we have to execute, and that's always our mindset.
What kind of impact does a guy like Eric Watts have in the defense?
I think he has an impact on the defense and the whole team. I mean, he's a spectacular athlete, and you see his effort. Listen, our guys are playing with a lot of effort, but there's two guys that, to me, well, no, there's more than two. There's three or four, but I'll just point out two that stand out in terms of just the effort that you can put on the tape, and you say every single play, that guy plays hard, and that's Eric Watts and Brandon Boyer-Randall. And Jackson Mitchell's right there, too. I mean, they just go. They just go. Christian Haynes, he just goes. It's a little hard to judge because he's inside. But, Eric makes plays for us. He rushes the passer. He runs down runs. He changes direction and chases the bubble screen. And, I mean, he's fun to watch play. He's a good football player.
Jim, personnel aside, I can imagine you want to see a little bit more vertical attack on the passing game. How are you working with the receivers to try to get them free to give Zion a chance to get some?
Well, I think it's important to say that you can't put personnel aside. I mean, that's a great statement. Personnel aside, it is. You can't put personnel aside because you play with who you have and you ask them to do the things that they're best at doing. Now, that being said, you don't just succumb and say, well, we can't get vertical. We have to find ways to get guys loose, whether that's pick routes or rub routes or wheel routes or things like that. But at the end of the day, a guy's got to separate. A guy's got to separate, and when he does, the quarterback's got to put it where it's supposed to be. The line has to protect long enough that the quarterback can put it where it's supposed to be, and the guy needs to go make a play. And, our guys, man, they're trying. They're trying. It's just been a struggle, and it's been hard for us to stretch the field. And then, when you lose a couple running backs and they can stuff the box, and you can't stretch the field outside for whatever reason, whether it's, what we're doing schematically or the call at that particular time, it can be tough sledding. But we're fighting through it, and I think, like I said earlier, we'll have a breakthrough.
Coach, how well do you know Fresno's coach, Jeff Duffy?
I know him vaguely. We know each other. We're not tight. I'm obviously very aware of his career. I believe we've competed against each other. I have tremendous respect for him. And he's a ball coach. That's what he is. He's a ball coach. He knows football. He loves football. He's hard-nosed. He's tough. He's disciplined. His teams play with, tremendous intensity. And, I mean, I have a world of respect for him.
And obviously the team's a whole lot different this year. Obviously you're the new coach. But do you ever look back at last year's game against Fresno, or is that just completely?
It's different. They've changed they've changed their staff. They've changed their scheme. So they've changed some personnel. So it was really not something that we needed to do. We're different offensively and defensively, and they're a little bit different as well. So you go back and maybe look at personnel, but we have enough tape off of the 3 games this year and the games that they played at the end of last year to get a feel for their personnel.
Going back to Zion, just trying to find progress with him. He was 10 of 12 in the game, no turnovers for the first time. Are you seeing that type of thing in terms of his improvement overall?
Yeah, it's interesting because his improvement, so much of his improvement is just this, like his demeanor, and trying to read his confidence level when he comes out of a tough game like that. And he just, like I said, he doesn't blink. He just keeps going. He keeps trying to get better. This is all new to him. It's new to a lot of people, struggling the way we are. And so he could have gone one of 2 ways, and he went the way that we thought he'd go, which is continues to compete. And that's really what all these guys do. And I don't know that I have seen a player on our team, give in. They just haven't given in. And I don't expect that they ever will give in. But he's a great example of that. Progress, yeah, I think he's making progress. I think he's understanding the offense better. I think, you saw some things on Saturday night in terms of him. And I think you want to see progress in the pass game, but tucking it and running it and getting some yards there. To me, that's still some progress because there was more certainty in what his decision-making was.
The receivers getting open, is it just a matter of you just need more talented guys? Because obviously you don't have
Right.
You know, a roster that has complete skills, or are there things that they can do and they're getting better at?
There's things they can do and they're getting better at. You know, every roster and every wide receiver group in the nation's kind of built probably the same. You know, you have some guys that can stretch it. You have some possession receivers, and everyone's got a certain skill set that they you know try to master. And you know, the guys on our team that open things up for others were, you know, Keelan and Cam. And, you know, when you don't have those guys, you know, it's not just them getting open, but it's them stretching the field and getting it open for somebody else. And so Nick is really trying to be creative. And I said this to you guys a long time ago, and I'll say it again, is you look at your players and go, okay, what do they do best? And let's try to get them doing that as much as they can. And, you know, like all of us, we all have strengths and weaknesses. What are their weaknesses? And let's try to eliminate asking them to do those things. And so with so much, you know, turnover there, and that, you know, Nigel was going to start last week and he blows out his knee. You know, it can be very frustrating for everybody, the players, especially the coaches that are trying to scheme it up and get guys open. But I'm just, you know, I've said it before, I'm a glass is half full guy. I think we're creeping closer to where we want to be, and we will get there. We will absolutely get there.
You indicated Sunday that Nate Carter was probably done for the year. Is there any update there?
It's still in discussion. It doesn't look promising right now, but you know, it's really a decision that is a very personal decision. So I'm going to let him come to the decision as he feels he needs to come to it.
Going back to Zion, how about his capability in terms of managing the game?
He's done well. He's done well. You know, you've seen the ball come out a couple times when you don't want to, when he's, you know, he gets hit. He needs to do a better job of that. We haven't had to call timeouts because the clock's run down. You know, I don't think we're not a very highly penalized team. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, you know, but he's done a good job of managing the game. You know, he goes out of practice today. I think he had in probably 50 or 60 plays, he had one mental error, which is really good for the first day of practice with new, you know, some new concepts being introduced. So from a mental and emotional standpoint, I don't think there's anything there. I think it's just playing more football against this type of speed, you know. And like I said, these last 3 games, the defenses he played, I mean, they're dominant defenses. You know, what are there, how many teams? 130 Division I teams or something like that? Yeah, and all 3 of them are going to end up in the top 20 probably. So that's, you know, that's a pretty tough task. And 2 of those games were on the road. So I think it'd be tough for any quarterback, and especially a freshman that doesn't have some of his weapons around him.
Is he getting more liberty at the line of scrimmage?
Is he what?
Is he getting more liberty at the line of scrimmage to make different decisions, or is that more?
No, he's not. That comes from the sideline. You know, you'll have check with me stuff. And you'll see them, you know, look to the sideline, and you know, we, you know, try to see what they're in, and then change the play at times. Everyone does that, but no, you don't really see a whole lot of that in college football. You know, these aren't Brady's and Rodgers and Breezes and Rivers and, you know, Herberts. They're still young people that are learning the game. Okay, thanks everyone. Oh, yeah.
When you run the stance before the game, is that something you've always done? Is that what's?
Every game I've ever coached. Yeah, every game I've ever coached.
What did you kind of behind that? Why is that something you wanted to do?
Well, I started it so long ago, I don't think I can remember. You know, I don't know. I've always enjoyed running uphill. So I don't know. I guess it's the challenge of it. And it makes me feel good. I feel a little more, maybe a tiny bit, a little more relaxed when the game starts. All right, you guys have a great afternoon.